What is good, guys? It's Ronald, also known as Youcapper from sportsnormal.com. Welcome to another episode of Let's Cap. We got my guys every Friday, YBB Sports Data and Austin Wang. We're going to have a good show today. We're going to touch on a lot of stuff. Obviously, the NBA is a big thing today. We're going to touch on the MLB, WNBA, and some UFC. With that said, it's Friday, guys. How you guys feeling? NBA Finals, Game 4. So much going on. YBB, how's everything going? What are you excited for today?
I'm excited for a lot. We got UFC weigh-ins that I got to go watch as well. We have NBA Finals Game 4, which is going to be exciting. Should be a banger of a game. I think sports fans win on Friday, so I'm excited to break down the slate today, guys.
100. Well, what's up, Austin? How you doing? Oh, did he? Oh, no. Did his connection go? Oh, no. 1 second. You good, Austin? Let's see. We'll let him figure it out. 1 second. I think he got disconnected, guys. So we'll get him back in here. We'll figure that out. Let's just get started. YBB, just me and you for now until Austin gets his stuff figured out. Let's see if that works. Nope. No, that didn't work. Okay. Let's just get started with the NBA. I mean, obviously this is Game 4 here. Boston's up 2-1. I think one thing to note was just the officiating piece, right? Game 3. Game 2, a lot of things went Golden State's way, and then game 3, we kind of see things balance out with the officiating piece of it. But not only that, Boston just shot extremely well. Do you think it's something where kind of Boston just got hot, or did they figure out Golden State's defense? What are some things that you think about in this game here?
Oh, man. So are you talking about for Game 4 or are you talking about for last game?
I mean, game 3, and then we'll talk about Game 4.
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, at first I was thinking that the Warriors were coming back in that Game 3. Like, they every third quarter, man, I swear they make you sweat that bet. They make you sweat that ticket every single time. It's almost become an auto bet at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just when the Warriors are giving up, when they're getting outscored by 20 points in the paint, they're living and dying by that 3. I think Celtics will take it. I mean, if that's your way of scoring, if Steph's going to go for 30, Clay goes for 25, and the Celtics still win, they'll take that any day of the week. They're a complete unit. Like, the Celtics are just complete. And, this is a prime spot where, as public bettors, it's that zigzag theory where you think that the Warriors are going to bounce back Game 4, and we're going to go to Golden State tied 2-2. And yeah, that can happen. That's a possibility on the table. That's not the way I'm leaning, though. I don't know. It's hard to figure out the Celtics team when the Warriors' best quarter is their third quarter. And it's just so deceiving that it's just, you can't be the best third quarter team and also be the worst fourth quarter team and expect So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Tough game. I mean, my lean right now, just a lean, I think that the Celtics get it done. But
yeah. Austin, what are your thoughts on what happened in Game 3 before we touch on Game 4 here?
Yeah, so I was on the over in Game 3, and my logic was I thought the series was starting to get really chippy. They're starting to get really physical in Game 2, and I expected, even with Scott Foster as the head official, I thought it was going to get called real tight, and then there's going to be a lot of free throws. Instead, the guys just, they were on fire to start the game and couldn't miss a shot. And so I think what Golden State did was they tried to match offense with offense against the Celtics, and they took out Looney, brought in some more Poole, and just focused less on defense and rebounding and more on just trying to match the scoring with Boston, which obviously helped my over quite a bit. That was looking really good. And the free throws weren't that plentiful, but outside of the fourth quarter, both the offenses were flowing. The shots were falling with ease. And the fourth quarter happened. They only scored 34 points, and the final score was like 216 and barely got me over. But I think that fourth quarter was telling. I think these are still the two top defensive teams in the league, and this series has been a physical battle. I expect the Warriors to respond back with an emphasis on defense and rebounding after the Celtics scored so easily in Game 3. So I think we're going to see a little more heavier dose of Looney, a little more Draymond Green having a bounce back game from his abysmal series, a little bit more Della. So all more better for the defense and leads me to liking the under for Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, with that note, let's go right into Game 4 here. You like the under here because of the defensive aspect to it. I want to add the Spodebs here a little bit. So we always talk about Celtics and their revenge situation, right? How well they've been performing in revenge spots here. I looked into how Celtics do in the playoffs specifically after a win, and you can see here 7-7 straight up, 7-7 against the spread. You see the first quarter margin there. If you guys saw my show yesterday, you guys know that I'm on Warriors first quarter, first half. And these are a little bit of the things that I brought up. You can see here in these situations, I don't know if Boston gets complacent or whatever it might be, but they kind of lax a little bit in that first quarter. They're down typically after the first quarter in these situations. They fare better in the second.
It's bizarre, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you can kind of see here, other than these obviously the Nets here, you can see everything after that. They really didn't do that well in these spots coming off of a win in the playoffs here. And another thing to note, if you take this win and change it to a double-digit win, then it becomes a little bit worse, right? 3-5 straight up, 3-5 against the spread here. The first quarter margin is even larger, around 4.5. And to me, it seems right here, I believe this should be there's probably down at half here, and that's kind of the way that I'm looking. And to me, I don't know if I could trust this part here, right? Because in the NBA Finals, I was just talking to YBB about this right before. I don't know if this is going to be a Warriors third quarter here today. I think this is where we just get a complacent Celtics team early, and then they feel the urgency in the second half more so than anything because they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to Golden State tied, right? So they're going to try their best in that second half here, specifically in that third quarter, and make the proper adjustments, hopefully, with Udoka. But the other thing is, we talked about Celtics in revenge situations, right? I want to talk about Warriors here in revenge situations as well. What was that? In the playoffs. So in the playoffs, in these situations, they haven't lost many times, but when they did, 5-0 straight up, 4-1 against the spread. You can kind of see here they did take advantage in these situations. They're typically in the lead in these situations. The only difference here, though, that I want to mention, right? All of these are home games here, and they're the favorite. So this is the only time that they're on the road and they're a dog. So this is where I want to get some help from you guys in your thought process is when you look at these types of trends right here, right? And then you see one little outlier, and it's the game. It just so happens to be the game that is the one that is for today. Do you think you could take these types of trends in this situation, or is it something that you're like, all right, this is not the exact same situation here? Maybe it's a trend that doesn't follow. YBB, I want to take your thoughts first on that.
Yeah, I don't think trends directly translate into results or directly translate into how the game will play out. That's me personally. I love trends, but they're not always a telling story. Yeah. Whenever I cap, I like to use trends system plus a forecast to kind of make my plays. And for this instance, I actually think you're on the right path. I think that the Warriors do have to come out in the first quarter, first half. I think they do have to respond in a hurry. And this is also one of those spots that I like to talk about where teams play with comfort. Now, the Celtics have that 2-1 series lead. They're going to play with comfort. They're going to play lackadaisical a little bit out there. So you can expect that opposing team to go out there and kind of take advantage of that early on. That's a good look by you. I think that's really sharp. And for you to also mention that the third quarter, is probably not going to go the way of the Warriors is also another sharp look, because I mean that could be a bounce back spot for the Celtics. It is kind of funny how they opened up that third quarter money line for the Warriors as dogs this time. While it has been a profitable spot, I do think that there is times where that number can be, a little misleading. So that's interesting. I think you're on the right path there, and I might actually tail that as well. That Warriors first quarter, first half.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Austin?
Yeah, same deal. Trends don't exactly equal play, and especially one of such small sample size. But I think there's something about the particular angles that you just presented that you can't ignore, because they are correlated with one another now. Okay, well, Warriors off a loss perform really well in their bounce back spot. Celtics off a win get complacent. I mean, those two are related, and that's certainly something that you can't ignore. Now, I'm not using that information now automatically going out and betting the Warriors, but I think it matters, and will make adjustments to my model and my line and my calculations accordingly.
Yeah, and this is another situation that I looked up as well, because so Spodevs doesn't go as far back as Give Me the Dog does, but what I brought up here is playoffs, series wins equals 2, and opponent series wins equals 1, and round 4 is the NBA Finals, basically. So what I brought here is basically 2-1 series, game 4. What happens typically, right? You can kind of see here. Why, Austin? I know you said you like the under here. 5 straight unders. In this situation, there's a couple of years here where it didn't populate because the series game wasn't 2-1. But in this situation, it does seem like they start to play that defense here. They know how important it is to go back to 2-2. And another thing too, you notice here, it actually follows the same trend as the team trends. So this is a league-wide trend following the team trends that I'm looking at. You can see here after the first quarter, the not only the dog, but the team that is down 1-0 typically have, well, not typically, but average-wise, right? They're above by 0.8 points, and then they also take the second quarter here. So at halftime, you would assume maybe they might have the lead here. And this is the part YBB where I talked about the third quarter with Celtics. In those situations, the team that's up is like, nah, I don't want to go back 2-2. So they get that sense of urgency on their side now, and they come out the gate a little bit hot. So that's kind of like the game flow that I'm expecting here in this situation. So for me, that's the reason why I looked at Warriors first quarter, first half, and then I'll probably be looking at a live line for the Celtics in the second half. I don't know what is going to happen as far as like the full game spread or who's going to win, but that's kind of just the game flow that I'm expecting. Go ahead.
I'm gonna add on to that under as well. The Warriors, they've actually gone 10-2 to the under when their opponent has a series lead against them in the playoffs. So these have been pretty strong unders in the playoffs for the Warriors. It's a prime spot for an underplay, So yeah, I agree with both of you guys on that under look as well. But as far as a full game side, yeah, I'm a little hesitant on both sides here because the Warriors also, one thing I'll mention is when they're avenging a double-digit road loss, they've gone 15-0 straight up and 12-3 ATS in that time as well. So they do respond when they're down. But yeah, I also, this is a prime spot for the Celtics, and I've discussed this many times. When they are 3.5-point dogs to 3.5-point favorites, they're actually 14-0 ATS, 13-1 straight up, and they're winning by marginal factors. So yeah, I mean, you got two competing trends, two competing systems here. When we get two competitive teams like that, I mean, that's a primed under spot. So yeah, the under. I like the under. I like the Warriors first quarter, first half. I like where this conversation's going. So yeah.
I mean,
can you bring up the STQL page again? I wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. What you want me to do?
Put in a team Warriors. Previous game is a loss. And playoffs equals 1, and series game greater than 1. And then we'll date it back to season 2013. And you can see here
Is that right?
22-8 and 1 to the under.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
That's when that's the beginning of the Splash Brothers era when Klay Thompson and Steph Curry started playing together. So I mean that's a nice consistent sample for you that after they lose a game in the playoffs, they ramp up that defense.
Yeah. All right. So this is one thing that I want to talk about too. Is it's a good thing that you mentioned this because you were talking about like the core of this group, right? Clay, Curry, Draymond, and even Coach Kerr at this point. I was in the spaces with Crispy Cap in the spaces, and Nico Mannion was on with them, and I was able to ask him a couple questions because he was able to play with these guys and play in the playoffs and even play under Coach Kerr, play with the core group of the Golden State Warriors, and he was talking about. I asked him specifically, what is it Coach Kerr talks about at halftime for you guys to play so well in the third quarter? Because this third quarter thing isn't new; it's been for a while. And he was just saying that they actually rally around each other. The players rally around each other, more specifically Draymond and Kerr. They do their work prior to the game, right? They have the game plan and all that stuff before that. So he was just saying like Kerr don't really say much at halftime. It's really the players rallying around each other. I think here specifically, if you look at a trend like this coming off of a loss, it does seem like it's all the players coming together and like, yo, we gotta get it done. At this point in the series, in the playoffs, it almost seems like they already know what they need to do, right? From a coaching aspect, they've already done all their work. They know the tendencies of the Celtics. It's really up to the players at this point. So that was one cool thing that I got out of him is just at this point it's really up to the players. And in these situations here, do we trust the core group of the Warriors to be able to bounce back? I mean, this is pretty solid look here that they do, right? In these losses, they do come back. And that's pretty dope. I actually didn't look that far back or this specific query at all. So that's a cool thing to bring up here.
On top of that, it's a one-day turnaround between these games. We had 3 days between the other ones. Now, fortunately, we get a shorter break, so we have some basketball to watch tonight. But with that said, less rest is going to lead to more fatigue. We're going to see some shooting regression. I mean, these teams have been red hot. I don't see them shooting as well tonight, and I see a slow.
Oh no! Did we lose him? Oh no! We lost him. Lost him again.
He's still going. What? Am I back? Yeah.
Yeah,
Steph
you're
Curry
back.
Banged up. So that's another reason why I like the under. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. I'm in another room.
It's all good. There's one other thing that another reason why I look towards the Warriors early is they're obviously up 2-1, right? So that gives them a little bit of leeway here to try and give Robert Williams a little bit of rest. I don't know if you guys noticed, but this dude, he looked like he's probably like 70% healthy at this point. He's running around, jumping like crazy, but he's limping pretty obviously. So I think this is a situation here early where they're able to just be like, all right, Robert Williams, I want you to sit on the bench for a little bit early and see if the guys on the team can kind of hold this lead in until the second half where we need you the most. That was another look that I was thinking about here is, what if the Celtics can stay close with them, in this majority of this first half, and that gives the Warriors some ability to really take advantage of Williams not being there. That's just a thought in my mind that would play out as far as the coaching aspect. Because if it was me, I trust my guys here, you could play Grant Williams a little bit more, maybe Tease here. You have some flexibility here now that you're up 2-1. So as long as they can stay close, they could probably be able to do that in the first half here. But yeah, let's just go ahead and say some official plays here to end this NBA finals part of it. Austin, what are you going official with here?
Yeah, I'm going with the under here. I just think that that fourth quarter was very telling. The defense really ramped up, the pace slowed down. I think with the one-day turnaround, these teams are going to be tired. They're going to be fatigued. They know each other really well at this point. They've made their defensive adjustments. As you mentioned, some of the Steph Curry, some of the other players are banged up. I don't agree with the line move up to 214.5 with all those factors that I just explained. I'm making this total around 212, so I'm taking the under here.
That's a good look. I might take a deeper look into that. Like we just looked at those game 4s here on the 2-1 series, and all of them went under. Like that's also something here where we just have a little story. It's saying the defense matters here, especially with the team coming down, being down 2-1. YBB, do you have any? You probably not, do you have anything official or?
Yeah, I mean, I need to look at the under a little bit more as well. But that is probably the play that I would look into and entertain, for the most part. And the Warriors first quarter, first half, I actually agree with you. I'm going to actually tail that. That's your play, though, that I'm just kind of piggybacking on.
Yeah.
But, that under, the only concern that I have backing an under is that the Warriors, while they are known as a defensive team, they are getting lit up in the paint. They don't have that size. They don't have that man to guard, any driving baskets. It's like Curry's getting in foul trouble. I worry about free throws for the most part. That's what I'm worried about. Free throws help that over a lot. So I'm hesitant. I'm going to look more into it right now. But I agree with Austin. I don't agree that the line should be steaming upwards. So in those situations, sharp bettors would buy back to keep that line honest. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know. I like that look as well. Plus the SDQ is right in front of our face too. So
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I should take that down real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all right. So you're looking towards the unders, and then like you said, the Warriors for me, first quarter, first half, and that'll probably get depending on how. If the Warriors are up at halftime, depending on how big of a lead they have, I probably might look at that Celtics second half. I might even look at Celtics third quarter pregame. To be honest, I think that's the way that I might go and just skip the full game here. I think in these finals or these key games here, you got to break them out separately, play them by quarter, play them by half, and just not see how the game flow goes, and maybe even just live bet it. That might be a good way to go too.
Hey, Ron, do you have an opinion on the total at all? Because I just want to say in our little group chat, when we have an under census or a consensus play,
it is towards the under. That is the way that I'm looking here. I wrote it out all out here. So I wrote it down. I actually wrote it down right after the game, right after game 3. I was looking at the plays: Warriors first quarter, Warriors first half, Celtics second half, and the under. So those were all the 4 things that I was looking at. And then bro, I got a whole blueprint all the way to game 6.
Yeah, it's all about game scripting it how you kind of see it playing out. I agree with you. I think that's an important part of handicapping a game as well. So that's very smart of you. So
so that's I actually have all my plays up to game 6 prior to the series. The only thing that hasn't panned out yet though was game 1. Game 1 was an outlier for me. Like I thought Warriors were gonna win that one. But everything else, game 2, game 3, they actually went exactly how I wrote it out. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Hopefully that continues all the way to game 6. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, man, I think NBA finals, man, we did a good job there. I think we talked a lot about everything there. So next up, we got the MLB. Let's actually bring up Spoda's back here again. I know we talked prior to the show here what game we wanted to look into. I think first one we want to look into Tampa Bay game. Let me bring this up here. The Tampa Bay Rays versus the Minnesota Twins. We were both, I think myself and Austin were both looking at the Rays here. You can get it at plus money. Austin, you want to go ahead and go into your analysis real quick? I'll just look at these numbers.
Purely a numbers play on the Rays. Both are excellent teams, and both are 2 great pitchers, especially Devin Smeltzer, who's been off to an awesome start. But I see some regression from him, and Drew Rasmussen, he's been lights out this season. 8-3. The Rays are 8-3 in his starts. 9-2 first 5 in his starts, and I think for us to get plus money on the Rays, it presents some nice value. I make it Rays minus 115 according to my model. So that's definitely a look that I liked.
Yeah, I think to me, I'm on the same boat with you. I think the biggest part of this is a regression on Smeltzer. He has a 1.0 or he has a sub 2 ERA. But I think his FIP is about 1.5 runs higher. To me, I think there's just like there is that regression. It's the same reason why me and YBB was on the Rockies yesterday. You want to look at these situations where you see positive or negative regression on these pitchers here, because that's one of the biggest things that in baseball is recency bias, right? We saw Gomber give up 17 runs in 2 starts, but prior to that, if you didn't notice, he limited the Mets, one of the best hitting teams, to just 2 runs in 7 innings. So you got to see these situations and pick these spots here. And I think this is a spot here where I don't think Tampa or the Rays should be the dogs here, in my opinion. I think that this is a spot here where we'll see some regression with Smeltzer. Maybe it's something where I haven't done it yet, but maybe it's something where we take the first 5, Austin, and just kind of stay away from the bullpen here. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I was looking at, always that difference here. This is one thing that is what is troubling to me right here, but I think it balances out because I don't think the Rays are that bad hitters against lefties. So this here, we might see a little bit of positive regression, right? I don't think they're going to be under 200 for the most part on the road against lefties for the remainder of the season here. This is just the part that I want to stay away from, is the bullpen here, because they're both pretty inconsistent. So to me, I was leaning towards the Rays full game, but now that I'm looking at it here, I feel like it's more so the first 5 that we should stick with, because if we see that regression here with Smeltzer, that might be the part where we really want to take advantage of it. And he lasted a little bit past the 5-inning mark. That might be something that we should take a look at. Did you lock in the full game or?
Not yet. But I'm in 100% agreement with you. I don't trust either one of these bullpens, and
oh, dang it. Mitch, Twins K rate. Twins K right here. You can kind of see, you can actually see a big difference here between the Rays and the Twins. Twins righties at home, 8.41 strikeouts per game. And then against the lefties, they don't strike out a lot here. The Rays don't, but they're not hitting that well. That's the problem. So if they can get on base, they probably have a good situation here. Like you said, that's a good look, Mitch, the K's right there. If they do get up there, what is the number? What is the number for Rasmussen K's? It's probably like 4.5 or 5, 5.5, 4.5, 5.5. So depending on that,
I'm gonna relocate real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll push you down for a second. But yeah, that might be a good look, Mitch, on the Rasmussen K's over. And then YBB, I know you had a look on the Pirates here. Let's go back that way.
Yeah,
Pirates,
you know what?
Pirates versus Braves.
What I have been saying lately is in the MLB, I have only bet dogs. So I mean, I haven't only bet dogs. Just the last 2 days, I'm just finding edges. Okay, like it's not like I'm always betting dogs, but you know, we're 5-0 with these underdog bets, and this is going to be my 6th one. You know, yesterday we cashed with the Rockies. We're just running into these matchups where I find some, and you talked about it. We're seeing regression, positive regression, or it could be negative regression, but you have to weigh that yourself as a bettor. Here's a spot where I think the Braves are just a tad bit overpriced. You got 2 young pitchers here. I think Ronald Contreras is he's a nice prospect for the Pirates, and these matchups right here where I see basically an even with 2 young pitchers, I'm going to bet the dog 100% of the time. So, this is more so a fade on Spencer Strider. I'm sorry, this is more of a play on Contreras than it is a fade on Spencer Strider, because Strider's actually, you know, he's pretty good as well. But this is a spot where I have the Braves listed as plus 135 dogs. So if you give, the Pirates listed as plus 135 dogs. So if you're hanging plus 180 over my head, I'm betting it, you know. So Yeah, we talked about this a little briefly, but it's just a case where you have two young pitchers, the Braves that have won 8 straight. There's going to be regression at some point. So if we're seeing value on the dog in a case where we have two young pitchers, I'm going to bet that. And also when they have very similar qualities as far as, let's see. Oh, yeah, you have it up right now. So if you do the after the wins bracket up there, I want to see how – yeah, see, look at how the Braves are hitting after wins. And I understand the Pirates are right there, but if you're valuing that same number, I believe that there's going to be value on the dog. So, yeah, that's my only play today in the MLB. I took the Pirates plus 180. I just don't see the value on the Braves. So, yeah, that's an official spot for me as well. So,
yeah, that's interesting to know because you can kind of see. I mean, I like that Mitchell was in here bringing up K rate because I'm looking at that now here with this situation here. Look at how many times these guys get stricken out in these situations here. They get stricken out pretty at a high rate. But the thing to note here, Strider, his strikeout rate, I believe, dude, he has 49 strikeouts in 32 and 2/3 innings. Can he continue to strike batters out at that rate?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about though, is like there is this regression that is going to be expected. You know, trends don't always translate into plays, but when there's a regression spot on such a young pitcher like that, you have to understand that there's going to be there's going to be a spot to fade him. So I'm taking my shot today, especially at plus 180 against a young pitcher. So yeah. I don't keep that up. I do not.
I'm looking at Strider again here. Last 2 starts. So his last start against 2 starts ago, he went against Arizona. I think Austin's back. You good to go, Austin?
Yeah, I'm good.
2 starts back against Arizona, he gave up 5 runs in 4 and 1/3 innings. His last start against Colorado, he didn't give a lot of runs away, but he had 5 walks in 4 innings. Yeah. So I think there is we're gonna see some regression. I really do think I agree with this play here. To be honest,
exactly. I mean, it's all about weighing the number, especially like in the MLB. It's coincidence. You have to find an edge, right? And I talk about this a lot, where you have to find edge in that number. I see value in this number. Again, I would value Pirates at about plus 135. So I do think that they should still be the dogs because, again, you have to consider that, the Braves, they've won their last 8 straight. So they are pretty hot right now. But Contreras is, I believe, the number 3 prospect, for the Pirates. So, yeah, give me the Pirates money line. I want to hear Austin's take on this, though.
Yeah, I got the same exact number, man. The 135. Exactly. All the reasons that you laid out. Were exactly because I've loved what I've seen from Contreras. He's had some nasty stuff. I don't know too much about Spencer Strider, but just given the number and I think the recency bias with the Braves, their bats are being hot lately, but the Pirates have been doing pretty well as well. So I think this line is just too lopsided. I'm going to take the chance with the plus 180.
Yeah. Hey, Mitch, is that KB? Are you talking about Kevin Broadus? Because if that's the case, then I love that look, to be honest. And because KB's my guy, and I know he's a baseball guy. Yeah, we did cover the NBA already. Sorry about that. I'll go over some of the NBA plays later. But yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, I like that play. You guys are talking me into this Pirates here, and possibly the K's over with Contreras as well. So that's dope. All right, so let me write that down. So Pirates and Rays. I think Rays, man. I think I'm gonna go first 5, not full game. Austin.
Yeah, me too.
Then Pirates. I think I'm gonna go full game on Pirates. I'm gonna go full game on Pirates. I might actually go both. I might do a run line thing there where you just go +1, a little bit on the money line, a little bit on the +1.5. Because plus 1.5 is only like minus 115, so that's not even that bad either. Let's see here. Full game. All right, go. As far as WNBA, WNBA is next here. Austin, I think we wanted to touch on one game, the Liberty. Do you want to?
I just recently started modeling the WNBA, and there's one look that stood out to me for tonight, and that was the Liberty -1.5. And so I didn't quite understand the move. It was opened up at -3.5, bet down to -1.5. Liberty's been playing pretty well lately. Won 3 of the last 4 games, which included one against the tough Mystics. Mm-hmm. And they've had 2 days off rest compared to just 1 for the Fever. So I found that rest advantage to yield some great results from some SDQL that I was looking up. Sabrina Ionescu, she's been playing really well. Yeah. They got Hanju off the bench. She's been playing really well as well. So with all those things considered, I made the Liberty -3. So I saw a small edge there on the Liberty.
Yeah, I like that play too. I think that, like you said, they've won 3 of the last 4. Maybe they're turning it around here, especially the game against the Mystics. That's one game that kind of showed me that they're turning things around here. Mm-hmm. I think this was more of a letdown spot than anything. You could see they came around with the links here and kind of dominated the second game back to back. And then obviously they took care of the Fever, and they should have. The Fever are probably one of the worst teams in the league, and you can kind of see a reason why. The other thing too, if you're Liberty isn't so Liberty 4-8 straight up on the season here. They're not one of the best teams in the league. They're probably in the bottom half of the league, and for them to be favored on the road here, it's a telling story of how bad the Fever are. So to me, I agree with that play. I would have loved it if Laney was on the court, but she's still out. I looked at the rosters here. I just noticed that Crystal Dangerfield was picked up by the Liberty. That's a good pickup there. It's kind of interesting to know that she was a rookie of the year she came out, and then now she's kind of just fallen off and being dropped by all these different teams here. That's interesting to know. So we'll see if she can put things together here with the Liberty in the small contract. I think with the Fever here, let's see if there's any injuries to note. Nothing big here, but there's really I don't think they can make any changes really on the roster to help them turn things around on their side. But I do also like the rest advantage look here, and the fact that the rest advantage 2 days to 1. That's one of the biggest things that I've noticed with the WNBA so far this season. Is rest advantage has been faring pretty well. Let's look on the Fever side here. 3-11 straight up, 5-9 against the spread. Obviously, they're not a great team at all. We touched on that, and the reason why the Fever, even the Liberty, are favored against them. And you have this travel spot here: away, home, away. You only got one home game, and then going back on the road. I hate those spots. No. I feel like those are negative spots for teams. So I think it's almost like they're going away like 5 straight games instead of having any type of home slate because you're traveling throughout. So I do like that look. I might go with you on that one. The Liberty -1.5 there. So yeah, YBB, you don't touch on WNBA at all, huh?
It's funny that you say that. I actually do have systems and builds on it, but I don't do deep dives on it. No, I don't.
Gotcha. Okay. And so yeah, that's the WNBA here. We just touched on one game. Now it's your time to shine, YBB. We got the UFC.
UFC, baby.
The UFC here. I know we didn't have that great of a UFC run last week, but we're gonna turn it around. I think I agree with your looks last week. But it didn't go our way. So yeah. We'll see how it goes now. I know we have a big matchup coming up this weekend.
Last week I actually lost 2.5 units. I had both of the plays that I gave, by the way. I want to make note. That was the first time a flyweight has ever been knocked out, and it just so happened to be the guy I backed, and Zaruk Adeshev. That dude got put out cold. The first flyweight knockout of the year happened to be the guy I bet. God, you couldn't buy one. Then again, we're seeing a change in the judging, and I've talked about this because there's a dog on this card I want to entertain. But the judging criteria has changed. These refs, these judges, they do not care about control time. They don't care about your clinch work. They don't care about your takedowns anymore if you're not doing anything with it. And that's what we saw with the Jeff Molina versus Zalgas fight last week, right? And you saw when they called that final scorecard 30-27, even Jeff Molina thought he lost. He was walking off already. He was pissed off. Oh, he won the fight 30-27. Is that the worst scorecard in the world? I don't know. But, we saw it again with Holly Holm. Holly Holm thought she won the fight. This control time does not matter. You got to do more than that. The judges are looking for activity. So that brings me to the first fight that I was looking at, and I can't even play now because it was Della Madeleine versus Ramazan Ameev. Now, I wanted to entertain this dog because Ramazan, what you know from him, he's a Dagestani wrestler. He will do cage punches. He does attempt about 9 to 10 takedowns every single fight. He's very active. However, Della Madeleine is a striker. He has high volume. He's a good boxer with a good jab, good lead hook. But you can't really judge his performances just yet. He's coming off a win over a guy in Pete Rodriguez who had 4 professional fights. And he's the favorite here. I think he's swolled up to like minus 170. So in those spots, that's where I would buy back again on the dog. But that's a dog that his game plan is generally to smother you up against the cage. His game plan is to do control, clinch, stuff like that. So, with in this particular case, for the degenerates out there, I would bet a split decision prop. I would honestly bet a split decision prop because you don't know what you're going to get. This screams split decision to me. You could get Ramazan Ameev via split decision at plus 1,000, or you could get Della Madeleine at split decision plus 800. That was one of the spots that I was looking at. But again, with the whole judging criteria kind of changing, you just never know what you're going to get. Another fight I wanted to touch base on was Jacob Malcoon versus Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen has been hyped. He's been falsely hyped into something he's not. Now, his very first, or not, it wasn't his first UFC fight, but when he fought Kyle Dawkins, there was just a lot of red flags in that spot. He went the distance with Kyle Dawkins. That whole third round, he had his back taken. He's a fighter who fights with comfort. Again, he'll have a lead in round 1, round 2, and he just kind of takes off round 3. He could have lost that Kyle Dawkins fight, by the way, too. So, and that was Kyle Dawkins taking the fight on 7 days' notice. So
yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was a very short notice replacement for Kyle. Then he goes out there. I believe his most notable recent win was Sam Alvey, but he was a minus 300 favorite. You look at him when he was a favorite right before that, it was against Chris Curtis. The guy gets knocked out. Brendan Allen should not be this heavily priced. And here's another conspiracy theory I want to throw out for everybody. These fights are taking place in Singapore. The fighters are actually waking up at 4 a.m. to go train, 3:30 in the morning for some of them. Brendan Allen is on the prelim card. That dude is an American citizen he's lost 18 hours in flight already. And he's going to go over there to take on Jacob Malcoon, who has a 2-hour flight from Australia. This is a spot where I'm actually really considering the dog to get it done. Jacob Malcoon is Robert Whittaker's wrestling coach. And that's exactly what he does. He brings wrestling. He has good top control. He's a position over submission kind of guy. While Brendan Allen is a credential black belt, we saw, God damn it, what's his name? I already forgot.
Are you saying Malcoon could finish? Or do you think
I think he'll probably win a decision, if anything. I think he just holds a lot of top control, and he sticks to a game plan. But we saw him go out there against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Everybody was parlaying Abdul Razak, thinking he's going to knock this guy out because of how his debut performance went. And I think that there's value on the dog here. I think he could get it done via decision. Am I going to be shocked if Brendan Allen wins? No, not at all. I just think that overall in his career, he has been overpriced by the betting market, just insanely overpriced. Yeah. And so, for those reasons, I would honestly entertain Jacob Malcoon. He's also competed in a lot of, grappling matches as well. He's done very well in them. And while he is still young in his MMA career, a win over Abdul Razak Al Hassan and a win over, I forgot who he beat the last time out, but those are impressive. AJ Dobson, who's an athletic specimen. He's just a beast. Very individual. So Jacob Malcoon, I think, wrestles his way to a decision. That's one of my hot takes there. But it's mostly a lot of that has to do with as well the flight time. the times that these guys are fighting.
I never actually thought about that part in the capping process because I just saw that it was in Singapore.
It's in Singapore, and exactly, we don't have a lot of American fighters on this card. I believe that he's only one of two. Steve Garcia is another guy who fights out of U.S. on the card. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jake Matthews too. Yeah, Jake Matthews. I'm sorry. So some of these guys, I mean, they're going to come in there just a little lackadaisical, but I was only eyeing the Brendan Allen spot because he's a prelim fighter. He's fighting on the prelim. Those guys, they got to start warming up in the hotel at 3:30 in the morning. What I find funny about the whole event is that it's already sold out.
That's crazy.
People are already buying tickets to go, party at 3:30 in the morning and go watch UFC fights. I think that's so badass.
Yeah. That's dope. I think let's touch on that. So one thing that I want to bring up is Zhang Weili and Joanna. I know that's those two are one of the two of the top female fighters. They're fighting strawweight, right? In the strawweight division. Yeah, strawweight division. One thing that I remembered thinking about, after the Rose fight is if Rose loses and Zhang Weili wins, I think Zhang Weili can actually end up getting the belt. In my opinion, I think she could beat Esparza. If she beats Joanna here, I think she could take the belt, and I'm excited for that. I hope she does get it. But what is your thought on this one?
On that fight, I honestly, and I hate to say it, but I think the value is going to be on Joanna. I didn't play it. I'm not going to bet it. She's a high activity striker who, she moves very well on the feet. She's very high volume. But what you saw in the last fight is Zhang Weili just hits a lot harder. She hits like a truck. So, she ended up winning that fight. And that was a 5-round fight. Now we're getting a 3-round fight. And I think the fans are, we're going to witness another good fight, especially in a 3-round event. You don't have time to warm up like that anymore. So
it's going to be way better than the Rose fight for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot more action in this one.
I will say this: whoever wins of these two fighters, they will beat Carlos Esparza. I think both of them will beat Carlos Esparza. I don't rate Carlos Esparza that highly. To be quite honest, but
I agree.
I don't know. That's a fight I'm gonna watch as a fan. I'm not gonna bet it because we don't know what we're gonna get out of Joanna. She's taken 2 years off. She had a breast augmentation. So much has happened in her time off that just makes you kind of stay off of that side. But Zhang Weili, the only reason I don't want to back her at those odds is just because she's been training with Henry Cejudo, and I'm scared that her wrestling is gonna be the downfall of her fight style. How you see fighters and they change up, they change camps, and they start doing shit that they didn't initially come to the UFC doing. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm staying off because I don't know. I don't know too much. I think the odds are accurate. We'll just say that. But it's gonna be a great fight for fans for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last one, the main event, Yuri and Glover. I think Yuri takes it. I think this is a spot where I've seen a lot of people on Glover, but I think Yuri takes it. I think it's time for him to take the championship from this old man here. I think Glover should retire.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the most profitable underdogs to bet on was actually Jan Blachowicz, and second place to that was actually Glover Teixeira, and Glover Teixeira ended up winning that fight. So now Glover Teixeira is the most profitable underdog in the UFC to actually bet on.
That's crazy.
This is no indication. That's all just, that's just coincidence in my opinion. Yuri is an animal. That dude is a beast. He moves forward. He welcomes chaos. He fights, and like I said to you, dude,
I got the Yuri auto. Let's go. Hey, Magomed, there it is.
I'm telling you, bro. Everyone's asleep on this Magomed guy. I think he's gonna be the champion.
I think he's gonna end up winning the championship.
It's just the thing with Jiri. The only thing that holds him back that Magomed can capitalize on is Jiri keeps his hands way too low for my liking. He strikes and welcomes that chaos, but Magomed that dude hits really hard too. So I don't know. It'll be a good fight, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Glover and Jiri. Jiri is Glover's just over that age, man. He's had his time, and I don't know, man. I think Jiri's the more hungry fighter. He's younger, and I think that him winning would do wonders for the UFC, especially in marketing areas. The division's just going to become a lot more fun. So Yeah, I mean, UFC's been missing that star, and Jiri is one of those stars. He's awkward, but awkward sells, you know? He's like a little samurai. So, yeah, I would like to see Jiri win. I do think that he gets it done. I don't like the price tag, though. I'm not a fan of it because we don't know what he brings as far as his takedown defense. And if Glover's on top, the fight will be over shortly after. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that we can bring UFC to this Friday. Like I said, me and Austin needs to come up. We need to get our UFC terminology game up. So to match YBBs on Fridays. So we'll see. We gotta continue doing our studying, Austin.
I'm just tailing this guy.
Dude, I love UFC, man. Like I said, I say it all the time. It's the most genuine sport in the world to bet on. Win or lose, you don't have to worry about points scored, fouls, assists, your prop bets, nothing. It's just you like
also the fact that you don't want to get beat up. Like you don't want. You know what I mean? Like the motivation factor. There's no questioning motivation because you just don't want to get beat up. Like that's
exactly
that's a fact.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you can't look ahead. Like bro, there's none of that stuff anymore. But yeah, with that said, man, this is going towards the end of the show. We touched on a lot of stuff: the NBA, the MLB, UFC, WNBA. Let me just recap real quick what we talked about. Austin Wang under 214 for the NBA Finals here, Game 4. Myself, Warriors first quarter, first half. YBB looking at both of those as well. On the baseball side, YBB came with a Pirates full game at plus money there, and then myself and Austin were looking at the Rays. I think you're gonna go first five. First five. Okay, yeah, I'm going first five as well with the Rays and WNBA. We're looking at the Liberty. YBB, anything official with UFC?
Right now, I have Joshua Kulabau, but I didn't really discuss it. I just think that the odds were off. Joshua Kulabau is an official play. I'm also going to officially bet Jacob Malcoon. Those are my two official spots. Other than that, I just like talking about the sport. So
yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's dope. I'm glad that we're able to touch on so many sports in this amount of time. But like I said, this is the end of the show, guys. And real quick, if you're still watching, I got the first edition of Capper University in 30 minutes with Jeffrey Benson from Circa Sports. He's a sportsbook operations manager there. We're gonna talk money line and ticket percentages, line movement. We're gonna talk about how they identify sharps. I think Circa is one of the top sportsbook in the world. Based on how they run their business model and everything, just being so inclusive, and not only to just regular bettors, but also to the sharps. And they had a couple big hires this week too. They brought in some legends in the sportsbook industry to be part of their staff, and I'm really excited to have them on. And I think we're gonna do a little bit of myth busting. We're gonna talk about reverse line movements. We're gonna talk about fading the public, stuff like that. So you guys stay tuned. I'm gonna send the link out here in a little bit, but we're gonna have them on in about 30 minutes. So I'm really excited about that. And like I said, guys, this is the end of the show. Thanks to all who tuned in on YouTube and on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you bounce. Make sure you check out the links in the description as well. And as always, I have to end with this. Please remember, whether you fade us or follow us, it's on you to make that call. Till next time, peace.